Mic check 1 2. Check check check. Check 1 2. Mic check from Dale's seat. Mic check 1 2.
so minor, that's so funny. I didn't, hey Ben, how far do you think we moved the table? Maybe like that much? They all noticed.
They did?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Move the other way though?
No, I don't think so.
If it's not over, you gotta start. Clear.
Good morning, everybody. Quiet signals up. Sorry, kindergarten teacher here. All right, so welcome to our meeting today. We're so happy everybody's here. Have a big crowd today. And we are going to call the meeting to order, and we're going to start with the BCS mental health. All right, Melissa Quinlan. Hey, Miss Quinlan.
Good
How are you?
morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Happy summer. Well, Happy New Year.
Happy new school year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, we are really excited to talk about this morning. We have some of our team members here as well. Mr. Cole had asked that through the mental health plan that we offer some information regarding how our student services teams work in conjunction with the mental health plan.
Okay.
And then we'll also share some comparative data. Is that we removed the student surveys per the Parent Bill of Rights legislation. And so now we utilize a teacher-directed survey where the teachers report student data so we can work to identify students that may need support. We also have added the state requirement for data collection for our student services team. That began last school year where we had to start reporting the service delivery, so that's been added to this plan. We have also, since the time that this plan rolled out, we have Novant telehealth services, and we also have Path School health centers in some of our schools. So we've added some of our community responders. And we have also, as of this past school year, through our Duke Endowment Grant, developed 16 youth mental health first aid trainers that are in district that support the implementation of our strategic plan. Are there any questions?
Go back to the piece about the surveys.
Yes, sir.
The shape quality assessment, is that what's now in lieu of the student survey?
No, sir. We use the FAMS. Those are district surveys that teachers and the district support staff complete. Our students don't complete surveys. So the
Give me
shape.
an example of what they're asking
Like
the
the shape
teachers.
assessment? And Dr. Baker handles the facilitated FAMS for our district. So for example, our school teams sit down and look at the FAMS, and through the FAMS, they rate, do we have tiered supports to address behavior? What level are we as far as implementation of the required supports for proper school functioning? So they're gonna talk to teachers and have those school improvement teams and those MTSS teams rate what their school needs in terms
So
of those kinds
We're
of supports.
surveying the school, not the student.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
The
sir.
school services.
Yes,
They provide.
yes, those are teacher directed.
I mean,
And
we're surveying the teacher for their assessments of how well we're addressing this program.
Yes,
We're
sir.
not surveying, because you had said we'd done away with student
Yes.
surveys. And so I
Yes.
thought, well, maybe we're surveying the teachers about students, but that's
So
not.
the teachers
We-
are the one doing the assessment of the student.
The teachers do
Not
that,
the-
correct,
not
as
as
well.
long.
Yeah,
So that's-
so we've got two different things. You've got systems, you look at school-wide systems, and then you also have the work that we do to identify students, but that's facilitated through teacher recommendation. And that is facilitated through our school counseling department.
And that FAM-S, Dr. Baker comes and sits down with your school improvement team, or your IST, your
MTSS.
MTSS team, and does that with, goes over that with you. It's really about the services that the school is able to provide to students.
That's correct.
Right, that's what I gathered that from the question. Okay. So, I was curious, I looked through this, just,
Sure.
that's a long
Document.
I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, what actually, all that information, like, who's implementing it, who's reviewing, I mean, how much time are we spending on this?
Well, this is what we do every day. And so the reason being is we have our student services team representatives this morning. And so it is our hope that through our presentation, that it will give you some ideas of how they work within this plan.
Okay.
Which is why we thought it might be easier to bring in the folks that are doing the good work. So to answer your question, this is what student services does. This is what our team of professionals that are school counselors, our school social workers, our behavior specialists, our school psychologists, our school nurses. These are some of the behind the scenes activities that occur every single day in our schools that are part of this mental health plan.
But we had all those positions prior to 2020, correct? Or
Yes,
most
sir.
of them?
Yes, sir.
And-
Well,
And so has this program caused us to increase that workforce, that work cohort, or has this just been added on to what they were doing previously?
so a lot of this is what they already do. The data collection was a new requirement from the state. The student surveys, of course, were a change because of the Parent Bill of Rights. But the nature of the work, giving core instruction and character-focused education, has always, it's part of their evaluation instruments. Providing behavioral mental health supports, it's part of their behavioral evaluation, it's part of their staff evaluation instruments. So all of these things are things that we have already been implementing, in addition to things that the legislature has passed that we are required to do. The staff increases, I would have to say, likely primarily come from the increase in the number of students that we serve in the district. So we use those ratios to increase staff per that part.
Okay. But I was looking at it, I'm thinking 2020, so we didn't just start this in 2020. This is just a new paradigm within which we've been operating since 2020.
Yes, sir.
Is that
They
correct?
added reporting requirements. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And post-COVID, there was a huge emphasis on mental health programming and supporting students. So through those legislative requirements, they have increased all of those opportunities, again, to report how children can address abuse and neglect if they're experiencing it. Who do you notify, how to handle it. So there were a lot of legislative requirements that increased as far as reporting, structuring your programming. A lot of these things we were fortunate we didn't have to create, we had in place. We just have to continue to build our capacity throughout the district for all parties, not just student services, to be able to support children in the core.
I know it's gonna vary, but where's funding how is the funding broken? And it's broken down a lot of different ways. I know it's probably federal, a lot.
Sure. So
The
it is
majority of it, as far as the split
federal,
between local
state,
and
and
federal,
local.
it's everything.
Mhm.
So-
Federal, state, and local. It's a culmination of all those funding sources that we receive for counselors, social workers. Yes.
Are you still seeing an uptick, even though they came back in after COVID and that kind of settled? Do you still see an uptick in it?
It's hard to say whether you see an uptick because our population continues to grow. So sometimes it's hard to differentiate between, is it population growth or is it really mental health increasing? I think and I feel that there's a level of stabilization, but it's kind of that 80-15-5 rule. So approximately 80% of folks are going to have more stabilized behaviors. 15% of folks are going to have those risk factors. 5% of folks are going to have those more chronic conditions. And so we, I think, can fairly say that based on our data collection that we do see those trends. And our goal is to continue to strengthen the core supports across the board so we can ensure that students get what they need.
And I just will quickly add that I think as part of the mental health plan, we do have specific trainings that all of our staff have to go through. So I think that recognizing as a preventive has increased. So while it might feel like higher numbers that we're serving for specific need, it's actually our ability to respond to it, for people to recognize the signs or symptoms. I think that could also attribute to that. Sorry.
And we do have Novant as immediate crisis response. And so that has also helped us be more diligent about being able to have services that are readily available. We've been very fortunate to have those supports.
Well, and I would also want to share with the public and the board as well. It's important to remember that when you're working in a place that has 3% growth per year, which for us that's about 400 kids a year, those kids haven't had the experience that Brunswick County kids had during COVID. You know, they could have had a completely different experience where they missed a lot more face-to-face school. They had completely different circumstances in a different place. And 400 kids a year, that's a lot of new kids. And so that's the reason why it's so important for us, I think this is a good document for us to get a handle on exactly what we are doing. Like, what does our program look like? It makes it easier to comply with state law, but it also makes it easier for us to look for ways to get better and standardize our mental health supports and all of our other student services supports for students in a way so that we can best meet the needs of students that are born and raised Brunswick County and all the new ones that are coming.
Well, and the fact that we have a day treatment center in one of our schools, and we have structured behavior support classes. I mean, I feel like, you know, we have things in place to meet the needs of our students, and I think this is just a good way of keeping a check on the pulse, making sure that we are doing what we need to do to serve our students. So,
yep,
that's great. Thank you, Ms. Lynn.
So now I'm going to shift to the really exciting part, and that is celebrating our staff. Ms. Tori will go back. There we go. So here today we have some of our, at the state level they call them SIS. Specialized Instructional Support Personnel. And so we have Jennifer Ordonez here this morning. I know Miss Lazari Oliver, if she's arrived, she's her sweet self in the back. We have Sarah Oyer, our school psychologist, school nurse Jenny Lucas, and our behavior specialist Amber Clifford representing our team. And we're really so happy, and they're so busy right now, but we're so happy they were here to join us this morning to talk about their individual roles. So I'm going to turn it to the amazing Jenny Lucas.
Good morning. So I'm going to go over the school nurse role, starting with the licensure criteria. So we require our school nurses to have a bachelor's of science in nursing, although some of ours do have masters, and they have to have their national school nurse certification. And then obviously the RN license provided by the NC Board of Nursing. So our roles and responsibilities, we access health-related needs of our students, create and provide healthcare plans, collaborate with school personnel and healthcare providers in order to remove those medical barriers to learning for our students. We develop individual health management plans for students with chronic health conditions, which we are seeing more of every year. We assist in preventing and responding to communicable disease concerns, screen students for potential emotional, mental health concerns, and refer for specialized support. And I'll also add, be there for our parents, educate our parents, be the listening ear and help facilitate that communication as well. The Brunswick County School nurse ratio, the average is one nurse to 856 students. The highest ratio is one nurse to 1,544 students, and the lowest is one nurse to 399 students.
Is that in North Carolina?
So this is in Brunswick County, and then the bottom bullet has the national recommendation, which is one nurse to 750.
Okay, so when you're saying
Students.
highest and lowest ratio, you're talking about by school?
In our county, yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm assuming the highest is gonna be one of the high schools and the lowest one of the
Okay,
smaller,
gotcha.
yeah, one of the smaller schools. So yeah, the North Carolina, actual average is one nurse to 833 students there on the bottom. So we have 16 school-based school nurses and 3 health room attendants. And then we have our one nursing coordinator, and she oversees the program and the Coast and Early College. So, do y'all have any questions about anything that the school nurse does?
So do we require them to have the school nurse certification before we hire them, or is that something they can obtain once they're hired?
They can obtain it once they're hired. They have to have that within 3 years, and you have to have 1,000 clinical hours of school nursing to sit for those boards. So if it's a RN with a BSN who comes into school nursing for the first time, it's about a school year that it takes them to get those hours required, and then they can sit for those boards. There is some current legislation that is stirring around in North Carolina, where they are looking to amend those requirements for school nurses by potentially removing that school nurse certification and allowing LPNs to practice as a school nurse. So we are waiting on the final word on that. If Ms. Rosie has any additional updates that I may have missed, I think we're good.
And I think in comparison, Brunswick County's in a good spot.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Compared to other counties, so I hope people realize that.
Yes.
With
And
our
our
school
schools
nursing.
need us, yeah.
Yes.
Our staff needs us, our students need us.
Yeah.
It's important
And
for
do
us
you,
to be there.
do you see that diabetes is on the rise in the schools? Because years ago we had none.
Right.
And then it just got to where the last probably 10 years, it's just more and more.
Right, and again, I don't know if that's due to the increase in population. Other health conditions I have seen, now type 2 diabetes, I actually do think has risen since I began as a school nurse, which we know is a lot in part due to lifestyle,
Right.
and that kind of thing. But type 1, I mean, it's probably about the same, but type 2 definitely I think has increased.
Well, I'm gonna say I'm thankful for our school nurses. I know
Thank
our whole
you.
board is,
Yeah.
because as a teacher, a kindergarten teacher, I gave those shots every day. We did not have,
Oh,
this is in
yeah.
92, 93, we didn't have a school nurse. So
Right,
they trained a teacher and we were responsible for giving those
yes.
shots every day. And you talk about scary, that's a little scary for somebody who's not in the health field.
It is, and I
You
think
know,
the students
and it's
deserve
not
a
your
nurse.
personal child.
Mm-hmm,
So I'm so thankful that we have help with that.
thank you.
And just a quick, last year we implemented the nurse, the outside nurse that comes into schools to serve, like, I don't know what the program is called, where we have the nurses from. Okay. So
Oh,
is that
right.
something that
Yeah,
you,
the
that the
telehealth.
school nurse, well, no, they physically come to the school if the child's sick instead of sending them home?
It's
Oh.
virtual.
It's
It, yeah.
It's a
Okay, I
It's-
thought
it
there was
is-
some physical, okay, no, so.
It is virtual, and we have it in 3 schools.
Okay.
And it's 4, okay.
Okay, but the
Okay.
school, the local, that school nurse would
Yes, ma'am.
facilitate all that,
She
so.
facilitates that
Okay.
entire visit, and it's been very successful. It's for students and staff.
Is that right?
So, which, yeah, I think it's great. It's
Okay.
going very well.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for the virtual
Yeah.
information.
It
Well,
would be
it's
nice
better
if
than
we had
nothing.
that.
I mean, I knew there was something new that, I thought it was new, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
it's going well.
Good.
Mhm, It's good service.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just thank you for
Okay.
everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you. And so at Superintendent Cole's state meeting in the spring, the state provided some data to our state superintendents, and this is one of the one of the charts that was provided through the Department of Public Instruction based on ratio comparisons. So we'll just share that for your information as well. And then we have Ms. Christina Lazari Oliver representing our school counseling team. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Ms. Christina Lazari Oliver. I actually work at North Brunswick High School. I've been there for 12 years, so I've been in Brunswick County for 12 years. I've been a counselor for 20. This is my 20th year, so I've been around a little bit. So I'm just going to talk to you about school counselor. If you have questions, I have Meredith here with me just in case, because to be perfectly honest, I've been a high school counselor for 20 years, so there are some things that maybe the middle school and elementary school level that I may not know, but I will do my best to answer any questions. So for a school counselor, you do have to have your master's degree to be a school counselor in North Carolina. You could start with 60 credit hours and practicum and internship in the school, but you have to have those 60 credit hours to even become a school counselor. With licensure, you can get your NCDPI professional educator's license as a school counselor, and that's how you become a counselor in the schools. So as roles and responsibilities, we have a lot. So we design and deliver a comprehensive data-driven program in all our schools that align with NC6 student success standards. They're very similar. They're trying to align them with ASCA, which is your national model that kind of oversees school counselors, which is nice. We do have a separate evaluation. So if you were to come into a school, we're not the same tool as the teachers would be evaluated with. We have our own that encompasses the whole student, the whole school. You'll see them a lot. They're very broad, and so we kind of have to explain what we do to do those broad evaluations. And then as far as students, we guide academic planning. In the high school level, we do academic plans with every single student. For registration, we meet one-on-one with every single one of our students at the high school level for registration purposes in the spring. And what does that look like? We plan for everything. So if a student says, you know, when I graduate, I want to go into the workforce, what does that look like for you? I want to go into a career technical field. What are you doing here that aligns with that? Are you taking those BCC classes, maybe the COAST classes? We really try to look at that individual student because not everyone is the same. And we also know that it's going to change. I can tell you personally, I have a student this year who said she wanted to go into nursing. Veterinarian. We put her at a vet's office. She did an internship there. We did all the things. She came to me. She's going to be a senior and said, I no longer want to be a vet. And I'm like, I understand because you did all the things and you understand what's involved. So we are working her other plan. And her mom was very grateful for that because she didn't go to college and figure that out. She figured that out now. Save a lot of money. So we do those things. We do career explorations. They start those even in the elementary schools so that they could start looking at different careers, what they're interested in, giving them those hands-on experiences. We do post-secondary transitions. So when we look at those students, if they want to go, let's say, to the community college, we talk about BCC guarantee. We give them those that information and really help them step by step to apply, to fill out the FAFSA, to do the applications, the scholarships. We have a lot of community members that give scholarships to our schools, so we work hand in hand with them, which is nice for us because we get that community involvement to work hand with them on, you know, what are you looking for your scholarship, getting those applications out to all students, and having them come to our schools and seeing our students and what they receive. The FAFSA too, this year is a big initiative for us to have mostly all of our students fill out the FAFSA and why it's important. It is even for the BCC guarantee, they are supposed to have a FAFSA on file, so just having that language constantly with those students, like you're doing this, you do this kind of thing. We provide school-wide, classroom, small group, and individual counseling supports. We talked about that survey. I know Ms. Quinlan talked about the survey talked about the assessment that the teachers did and kind of finding those needs. We based our small groups on that this year. So I know at the high school level, we had a big group of students that have lost both parents. So a grief group is something that we felt was needed. I thought it went really well with our students that we had because that's hard. That's hard navigating as basically on your own and don't have those supports in place. So we enjoy doing those things with those students because we are like their second home. Establishing peer-to-peer support programs and crisis intervention. We have a huge crisis team that involves pretty much everyone you're going to hear from today, but we do go to the different schools too when we have those bigger crises. But even the smaller ones, we have different things set in place that we know to do every time. And with Novant, it has been very helpful for some of those smaller crises, or if we have a safety assessment we need done, that type of thing, that they're not going straight to the emergency room. We have Novant to help us with that. We also provide direct intervention during crisis, trauma-informed care, and coordinate child protection agencies. So we do all those things. I know that's a lot. But our ratio, just so you know, it is still growing. Last year we had 33 counselors. This year we have 34. But I can tell you the average, I know for the elementary school, it's 1 to 462. The middle school is 1 to 434. And the high school is 1 to 362. And that's the average. The highest for elementary school is 1 to 662. Middle school is 1 to 583, and the high school is 1 to 386. But I know at North right now we looked at our ratios this year, and we are continuing to grow. Obviously, as you know, we're right about 400 each of us for students.
Wow.
So it's a lot of students. We're getting there. So our lowest at the elementary school is 1 to 349, middle school is 1 to 305, and high school is 1 to 320. The recommendation is 1 to 250. I know that's a lot, but right now, currently in North Carolina, it's 1 to 340. So we're right about there a little bit. So a little bit over. Any questions?
What do you think you spend the most amount of your time on, of all these things?
Depends on the day and the time of year, to be perfectly honest. So right now, obviously, today's open house. The last 2 weeks, we have been schedule heavy.
Because Ms. Moffitt and I have been talking about for years now,
Yeah.
how because of all the things that you're doing, it's taking away from you being able to do a lot of the career planning and the college stuff. And
But we
the
enjoy that stuff. You know what I mean?
appreciate that.
Yeah.
For years now, we've talked about how difficult it is because of the ratio of students you have and all of the other things, how the educational aspect of your job becomes more difficult, and potentially less, because there's so many other things.
The
Well,
evaluation tool is.
Right.
and like I said, I think it depends on the time of year also, because, you know, the beginning of the year obviously is schedule heavy. So we're focusing on getting those schedules correct for students, working with the students on, you know, making sure their schedule aligns to their career plan, all those type of things. Then we kind of transition to what's going on in the school, you know, that time. And then we look at the graduation piece. Like, we have seniors that graduate in December, so we want to make sure we're working with them, that they're ready to go, that type of thing. Then in the spring starts registration. So we do the registration piece. And like I said, we meet with each student one-on-one, which I enjoy because I can really give them that piece of me that is like my knowledge, you know, to say, hey, let's look at this, let's look at that, and see them succeed is what I always enjoy when they come back and say, hey, you know, I did this, or I'm here, or I see them in town and I ask them what they're doing. But also, obviously, the mental health piece of it that we talked about in the plan, we do a lot of that too. But I like not knowing every day and having a set schedule, I guess you could say. I enjoy having each day kind of be a little different.
And I will also say for elementary and middle, the roles look very different. So in our
Yes.
elementary,
Yes.
they are very they are in, many of them are in the classroom rotation as part of an elective class. So they may have 2 classes a day on top of those. So while high school is focused on that career and the 4-year planning, elementary has a different task during that time. So it really looks different at each grade level. But yes, they're an amazing group of people. They come in and they get it all done every day. So it is a lot, but that's what we signed up for.
Yeah, and we enjoy it. We're very happy.
I was going to ask you, from
Yes.
the middle school, coming in, transitioning to high school, do you work cohesively with the middle school council? I mean,
Yes,
obviously,
ma'am.
to go to get them to that initial
Yes,
scheduling
ma'am.
and all that kind of stuff.
So-
So that starts in middle school.
Yes, ma'am. We do a lot of things. We go down there and talk to all of the 8th graders as the high school. We also work with the middle school counselors come over to us and we kind of plan together. So like We talk about our 504s because that's something we also do. We talk about our students with 504s. We talk about our students that may need a little bit more high need or more kind of hand holding a little bit. So we go over our caseloads together. We PLC with them in the spring. We also do transition meetings with EC and also 504. So we're invited to all of those so that we have that language with them before they even come. This is what this looks like at the high school, that type of thing. So we do a lot of that.
Switch. I mean, that's.
Yes, ma'am.
And we also
Mhm.
partner with the middle school CDCs who
Mhm.
kind of help with that
Mhm.
planning, where they start that more primarily in the middle schools. They work with the counselors there, but they do help with that transition
Yep.
to the high school as well.
Well, I know you do a lot of things. It takes a lot to get them.
Yeah.
All
Oh
the
yeah.
moving parts,
Oh,
but we love it.
Mhm.
I bet the role looks different 20 years ago as compared to now, because you probably did mainly career stuff.
We did
Yeah.
testing 20
Wait,
years
so
ago.
yeah, I was gonna say it was a lot of testing.
I remember
We
that.
spent a lot of time in testing, and
Thank
it was
goodness you're not
paper
doing that
pencil
anymore.
test.
Absolutely.
It was paper
Yeah.
pencil testing
Yep.
and counting books.
Yeah.
Lots
I
of
can
counting
count out
books.
30 sheets of paper.
I remember the counselors walking around with piles of paperwork.
And grateful here, which we used to do a lot in the other county I worked at. I'm very grateful for Brunswick County because we also did a lot of what you would say your data manager did. So counselors did a lot of the enrollments. We did a lot of those things. So that was a lot on our plate too, because not only were we dealing with all the other things, any student that walked in, we were doing their enrollments. We were doing all those things. So I'm very grateful that that's not a part of what I have to do every day.
Well, I'm hearing really good things from the high school level because of the career guidance.
Mhm.
So I think you guys do a good job on touching, not just if everybody's going to college, but
Mhm.
you know, the
Mhm.
trades, the workforce, the military.
Mhm.
So I think we're really doing a good job touching all the kids and what they're interested in,
Yep.
what they're passionate
And really hearing them,
Yeah.
like, and saying, you're telling me this, so let's make sure we're doing this, you know,
Right.
that kind of
Gotcha.
thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I just wanted
Yes.
to thank you for coming today and presenting
Of
on
course.
camera and being a face for the counselors.
Of course, thank you.
In Brunswick County Schools.
Yeah.
With open house tonight.
With
Yeah.
open house.
And,
Nothing to do for the rest
She's
of the
going
day.
out on two wheels.
freshman orientation's coming up, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I got it.
I have one question.
Yes.
And it is, I know that you talked in your presentation about that you meet with the kids and you
Mhm.
talk about the FAFSA and all that. Do we also provide informational sessions or help to parents or grandparents raising their grandchildren or guardians raising?
Funny you
With that
yes.
FAFSA, because it is
Yes.
the devil.
So
It is.
funny you should ask that.
It is.
Our principal does what we call parent universities. So she does two a year, and in that, parents come out and they do sessions, and one of them is college information. So we talk about all those things, applications, that kind of thing. But then also we do a FAFSA night. Ours was very successful this past year. We did it twice. And we had UNCW there, Brunswick Community College. We also had CFNC, and so they brought their computers and filled out the FAFSA with people to help them.
That's what I wanted to hear.
So yes, so we do all of those things. I'd like to see more parents come out because literally they sit on the computer and we are helping them fill it out. So when they leave, they have a completed FAFSA.
And we make sure parents are reminded about those dates and through a
And that's
call
at every
on
high
the
school?
I'm not sure. I want to say yes, we do at the others too, but I know that we have been, it's a big push. And then they do one for the whole county,
Yes.
in Brunswick County. And they also have one, I know some people, like, because we live on the north side, they go
Yes.
into Wilmington a lot. UNCW also does a FAFSA day, where they could go there and literally they help them fill
I had
out the
seen
whole
that one, I
piece.
just didn't
Yep.
know that we did it.
Oh yeah, we
So
do.
that is helpful.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on, and we remind them all the time. We send out calls, we post it, we do all the things.
So there's no excuse.
Yes, they shouldn't. And even if they call, we, tell them that. Please come out to this. Please come do this.
Yes, I went to the one at early college years ago. It still didn't help me, but it's okay.
I didn't go
It's
with
just-
problems.
But we
Oh my
appreciate
gosh,
your
it's
attendance.
just-
Yes, but
I realized
state,
how smart my kids were after they figured it out. Yeah.
State Employees Credit Union also will work with parents and students one-on-one. So if they go there, they will work with them one-on-one to fill it out. So
And you
there's
have all the
there's
information.
lots of options for
And
them.
something that we're looking at better ways to advertise is there are actual tools that have talkovers and videos available, not from Brunswick County, but that are available to make sure parents know that if you need to do it on your own time, here's a guide for you. And it's much easier to do than it has been in the past, but still, it's daunting for many reasons.
Yeah.
So.
I just wanted to share, to finish up.
Yeah.
As I'm out and about doing presentations and that sort of thing, school counselors, it's a position that I get asked about a lot because from folks that maybe when they were in high school, they didn't see the counselor or for whatever reason. And so they wonder about the investment that is made by the state or maybe by the county in school counselors. And so I think it's hugely important for us to share whenever we get a chance what school counselors actually do and the critical impact they can make on a student's engagement in school. And like the way I try to put it to people is you have to remember that we're not building cars. We work with people. So like the cars we're trying to assemble can refuse to be assembled.
Yeah.
And can have a bad night that you know we have to work through, and teachers aren't necessarily trained to do that.
Right.
And so that's where a school counselor can step in
Yep.
and make a huge difference, you know, at a specific focused level on a kid. But then there's also the plan of how do we go about collecting from all of our students every year in an annual meeting. What exactly do you want to do with your future so that we can help you get there? And make it a focus of what they want to do as opposed to what we want them to do.
Exactly.
They deal with people every day trying to tell them to do stuff.
Yep, yep.
So it's hugely different when a counselor sits down with them and says, what do you want to do? Because we are actually here to serve you and your needs.
Yep.
And when you can get a kid to have a plan for their future, you have a much more engaged kid in school.
100%.
And so having a high-quality school counseling program at a school, it has such an impact. And having a home counseling program has an impact in the other direction. So we're doing a lot of work. Meredith is doing a lot of work to raise the level of expectation. And we're doing that across the district, but specific to counselors and developing a rubric that somewhat aligns to the national model, but there are a few changes that we believe are better for Brunswick County.
100%.
In order to have all of our counselors over the next 3 years reach that level of designation on that rubric, that we can say that we can prove that we have high-quality school counseling programs at every one of our schools. So I appreciate you and your colleagues' willingness to take on that work.
Of course, of course.
And just last, this board supported a student support specialist position at every school. You mentioned a lot of the other things that counselors used to have to do that pulled them away from their actual job. That student support specialist position, one of the things that it was designed for was to take duties off of teachers and off of counselors that they were having to do that didn't really fit their job description. So that was a local investment, a substantial local investment
Yes.
that allowed counselors to do a better job of what their actual job is.
Yep.
So I want to appreciate the board for doing that
Yes.
a year ago.
Yes, thank you.
Well, and I just say, my students had some phenomenal teachers, but looking back even now, and my youngest is 25 today, and their counselors, if it weren't, I mean, they still talk about it, especially at early college, and I won't say the name, but anyway, there was a counselor that was there for 2 of my kids, and I mean, I met with the counselor as well when we did the scheduling and everything, and I had no idea how complicated it was. I mean, no idea. And that was, you know, and then my other children, you know, had some special accommodations and stuff for one of them, and it was just, it's phenomenal. I mean, but those counselors are the ones that, you know, are gonna be the ones that all of their life, they're gonna say, they helped me, they guided me, and so, you know,
We always
along with the great support staff
We
and
always
teachers, so-
encourage those registration meetings. Look, we understand parents have
Yeah,
to
you
work,
can.
but we can put them on speakerphone. Most
100%.
people can step out for 10 minutes, you know, and be involved in that registration discussion with their kids. Because sometimes kids don't want to take the classes that are harder, that they really need to take, and they need
And the
a-
parents think
they
they need to
a
take
push.
something they really don't need to take, and
So-
so it's,
Yeah.
it's, Yeah, y'all do a
Thank you.
But thank
fabulous
you.
job.
Yeah,
Thank you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And
I did have a question, maybe Meredith can answer. So the rubric, is that being implemented this year?
We started it last year with school counselors. This year we'll start with school social workers.
We started at the beginning of last year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then just an update on how we compare to the rest of the state in regard to our school counseling ratios. And then next, we have Sarah Oya, which is our school psychologist.
Hello, I'm Sarah Oya, and I'm a school psychologist, and I've been with Brunswick County. This is my 19th year as a school psychologist here, and I have 21 years of experience as a school psychologist. So for the licensure criteria, the minimum degree required is the educational specialist or advanced degree. So we have our master's plus. Within that, we do also have to have a full-time internship after we have our master's degree. And that internship is 1,200 hours minimum, but generally it's a full school year. And then with that, we are able to begin practicing as a school psychologist. So our licensure is the North Carolina DPI Professional Educator License. We also have to take the praxis and pass that as well. So the roles and responsibilities. Our role as a school psychologist in Brunswick County has changed dramatically since I first began here many years ago. And one of the main things that we do is that psychoeducational evaluations for students with disabilities. So with the psychoeducational evaluations, we are tasked with answering questions. So why is the student struggling? Is there a disability? What are we seeing? What are the parents seeing? What are the teachers seeing? What are the students seeing in themselves? We complete cognitive evaluations that look at their thinking and reasoning skills. We do the educational to see where they compare, like where their actual skills fall, what skills they have, and what skills they need to work on for intervention purposes as well. We look at their adaptive behavior skills, their behavior. We look at their emotional skills. We look at we do a lot of observations across settings in the classrooms. It could be the gym, it could be in their main classes, it could be in the cafeteria. We just want to have a good picture of the total school environment, as well as autism evaluations. One of the other things that we do is collect data and analyze it, both the academic and behavioral. We look at whole school data using, for example, if we're looking at behavior, we use Educator's Handbook and look at the amount of referrals. And then we look at overall, and then when we drill down and see who are our high flyers that need more or additional support, that's when we provide recommendations and some interventions for those students. As well as identifying their needs and then tracking their progress. So we also look at academic interventions and what are their academic needs, what interventions can we put into place to help support them, as well as their behavioral and social emotional needs. We provide a lot of consultation to the families, teachers, and the students. We also provide individual counseling, group counseling. I'm at South Middle, we did the student leadership team, so we were able to help support our students to become leaders within the school setting, which was really good, and they could help their peers and really grow there. We provide a lot of direct instruction or intervention during crisis. We're on the threat assessment. We do complete threat assessments. We do safety assessments. We're on the Brunswick County crisis team as well. We help coordinate with Novant Telehealth, so if we do complete a threat assessment or safety assessment for if it's threats towards others or threats towards themselves, we help coordinate with those outside agencies to have them receive the support that they need to make sure that everyone is safe. So school safety and student safety is a very large priority for us. We provide trauma-informed care and coordinate, again, with those outside agencies. It could be the child, like DSS agencies, and mental health agencies. So in Brunswick County, we have 10 school psychologists. The average overall is 1 to 1,370. The highest is 1 to 2,002, and our lowest ratio is 1 to 807. So the national recommendation is 1 to 500. But North Carolina's actual is 1 to 9,079. So what questions do you have?
Do you get a lot of referrals from the counselors, or how do you interact as far as
Yeah, so
working with them and?
yeah, all of the people that you see here today, we work together as a team, and we meet. Some schools meet on a weekly basis, some are bi-weekly, and we review the needs of our students. And we collaborate with each other so that we don't ever work in a silo. So we see what the needs are, so it could be coming from the counselor, it could be the social worker. It depends, but we're all kind of on the same page and with administration as well.
So do you travel to the schools, or is there, how does that work as far as the delineation of
I do
psychologists
travel.
to the schools?
Yes, I do travel. I'm at South Brunswick High School, South Brunswick Middle School, and Early College High School. So all of us travel around.
So they each have an average, what, 3 or 4 schools, just, or depending on the area, it just varies?
2 to
probably?
3 schools
Okay.
is what we have.
Okay.
They also attend a lot of IEP meetings.
Yes, a lot of IEP
Just saying.
meetings, the individual student team meetings.
Right.
So providing that consultation, reviewing the data. We review our educational evaluations with the parents and the team in a way that we can create goals for the students.
So you've had a lot of those meetings this week and
Yes.
last week?
Yes, yes ma'am.
Well, and just, it's so helpful to have them in that meeting to explain their testing, so that in a way that the parent understands, and y'all do a great job. Thank you.
I'm very thankful that we are under the national recommended ratio. Coming from, as a person who's always worked in smaller rural districts, school psychologists are extremely hard to find. In those districts, they typically have to contract out to people who are working in other places, so they don't get them face-to-face hardly at all. So having 10 school psychologists in Brunswick County Schools is hugely advantageous to our families. So thanks for working for Brunswick County Schools.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you.
We're so grateful for our school psychology team. And this is how we would compare to the state. And then we have our amazing Jennifer Ordonez, to represent our school social work team. Good morning.
And for 15 seconds, you have to tell us about tango. This is, if y'all haven't heard.
But I'm on camera, I don't think I can do that.
It's okay.
No. Wait, hold on, what are we talking about?
I guess you're
Her
gonna find-
personal dog won like in Vogue.
Won
Like,
a
supposed to be
Vogue
in
photo
Vogue.
contest,
It's
so
a
he's the
Vogue
Vogue Dog of the Year.
I thought we were talking about tango dancing.
Oh.
He
Let's not put that on
might, he
camera.
might do that.
No.
That might be part of his,
But I mean, it's a Southport,
Okay.
it's a Southport
Yes,
thing, it's
he
so
won
cool.
out of 56,000 plus
See?
photos.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Yeah.
He's
I
if you look up
totally different
Vogue's
direction.
Dog of the Year,
Yeah.
it's my dog Tango.
Doug's dog of the year.
It's kind of
Her dog.
shocking, a German short-haired pointer, if there are any fans.
right. It's
He's
also a
really
dance,
cute,
but
like you do. So we've put ourselves on the map with your dog.
That's right. I wish they did mention Southport in
They
the
did
article,
mention
but
Southport.
they didn't.
They didn't? Oh, I
No,
thought
I
they
wish they
did.
did.
Oh, it
But
was on
who knows
Instagram.
what other media is to come with
This
all
is
this.
true.
Tango is now famous.
Yeah,
Keep you
Tango is
posted.
famous.
Thank you for that little shout.
You're
I
welcome.
certainly was like, hold back, Jennifer, do not say anything about I mean, my
secret is-
daughter left for the Peace Corps this morning. That's pretty exciting too.
That
But
is.
Tango's news kind of knocked it out
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
park.
Shouting what she's doing, I know, right?
So we've had a lot of excitement in the Ordonez household.
Yes, yes.
So thank you. This is, I just finished my 17th year in Brunswick County Schools. I've been a social worker for 25 years. I love what I do. I think all of us that are standing up here could say the same. The social work license, it does require a BSW, Bachelor's in Social Work, or an MSW, Master's in Social Work. But within either one of those degrees, you also have to have some coursework specific to education in order to become licensed with DPI. And that includes an internship as a school social worker. So there are specific requirements to education, and that is because the social work field is so broad. I think that's important to know. Our roles and responsibilities, we do provide direct intervention during crisis. That's not just our large school-based crises. If there's, crisis team intervening because our littles have a lot of personal crises, abuse, neglect, loss, domestic violence, parents using substance abuse. We intervene a lot with those students. We are in contact a lot with our local social services agencies and child protective services. So that is a big part of our role, is knowing about those children, those crises they have in their lives, and working with them and the adults in their lives. We are all skilled in trauma-informed care, so really understanding the connection of students who are going through those crises and how that plays out in a classroom school setting. We address barriers to school attendance. I usually consider that the primary part of our job through interventions such as attendance committee meetings, compulsory attendance, interventions such as our letters that go out regularly. I'm sure everyone's familiar with those. We do truancy court through the court system, all these things to prevent what ultimately could lead to criminal charges. If we do have a parent that has been charged criminally, we do spend a lot of time in the courtroom. I'd say any parent we charge, we would be there a minimum of 3 times, if not up to 6 or 7, depending on the course of how that case looks. And the goal is to prevent that with our other interventions and work with families on educating them of the importance of attendance and why their child needs to be in school regularly. That's always our primary goal. We provide case management and consultation. I mean, what that looks like for us, there's always groups of students that we work with on a regular basis. Those are students, again, with child protective services involved, chronic attendance problems, or, in some cases, financial hardship. A lot of them have our cell phone numbers, and we're involved on a regular basis throughout the year trying to help them get all their needs met and provide resources as much as we can to those families. Multi-tiered service provision, individual small group student support. That is basically, we're part of the team of everyone presenting today. We do move around to different schools. We're not in the same school every day, but when we are there, we're providing needs for those students, providing services, group and individual counseling as needed, and we're all qualified to do that. We are the school liaisons for McKinney-Vento, which is, of course, our homeless education law, and our foster care kiddos, so we're involved with all of those families and the paperwork that comes along with them. Outreach and collaboration with community partners. We are very involved with juvenile justice, DSS, district attorney's office, housing collaboratives as they grow in our county. There's such a need for them, but we have seen some growth in that area. So we work with all of those agencies and community partners to meet the needs of our students. Any questions about our role before I get into our ratio? We do a lot of different things. It just touches the surface, really.
I just want to say you guys have a tough job. So
Yes.
we appreciate you. You
Thank
see
you.
a lot of sadness and a lot of.
Yes. Yes,
It's-
we
it's
do,
really
and
hard.
I think some parents value the help we could give them, and some parents struggle to receive our assistance, and so that spectrum does make it really challenging. We don't always know what we're going to receive when we reach out to a family.
So are you seeing a better, I guess since we put in the attendance, is it
Oh my
made your job
gosh,
easier?
yes. Oh my
We
gosh,
wondered if that
yes.
made your job.
I
Yeah.
couldn't even tell you. As the year ended and people asked how my year was, it was a drastic difference.
Yeah.
I said other years I was ending discouraged and tried my best and felt like I didn't do enough. And last year I felt so empowered and great to have the support of that policy. There's a lot on that piece of paper that made our job so much easier and really gave just the message to parents. It was just so easy to have backup.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it says.
Well, and it's
This
just- and
isn't
the
because
kids-
what I think. This isn't
Yeah.
because this is what we expect.
Yeah.
It was in writing, black and white, and it really was a game changer, 100% for. I know for me personally, for my school year and how it went.
Well, the kids are gonna do better. There's no argument.
Absolutely,
if they're not about
absolutely.
expectations.
Significant improvement at all grade levels. So I'm so grateful for that. And I see some changes for this year that are gonna, make it even better and stronger.
I had
So.
a conversation with Judge Hankins,
Mm-hmm.
and she's certainly a big proponent
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
of,
Education.
making sure our truancy laws
Yes.
are adhered to and followed up, so I'm sure she's a big support for
Yes,
for what you're doing.
she's a great voice in the courtroom when we do our truancy court intervention or when we have a parent that's been charged. She 100% backs the message that students need to be in school. And she gets very personal about it, and that's wonderful. It
Yeah.
has a great impact on our families. So,
And I think switching over and having one social worker focus solely on McKinney-Vento students, that's a new change for this year.
Mhm, yeah.
You feel good about, you feel like that's gonna be very
Oh,
helpful to the rest
absolutely.
of the social workers?
absolutely, especially our upper grades. A lot of our McKinney-Vento students at the high school level are unaccompanied youth. And those kids could just get lost kind of entering out into the world. And so we as high school social workers do our best to keep up with them, but by the time the school year's ending and we have our kids graduating and we have our kids that are shutting down and not wanting to come, we can't focus and prioritize as much as it's a goal every year. There's just so many students, over 1,000 students in the high schools, and I'm just really excited for her to get to know those unaccompanied youth and really put them on a plan and give them the direct attention needed. And then just being that liaison for the families, even more so than us, for services that they need, because they're the ones that are constantly in need of assistance.
She
and
has jumped right in,
resources.
so
Yeah.
I'm excited to have
What
her.
exactly do you mean by unaccompanied youth?
So an unaccompanied youth is a young person that's living with someone other than parent or living on their own. So the language falls under the McKinney-Vento law. So they're basically not homeless as part of a family unit, but homeless on their own. They could be our couch surfers. They
What
could
age
be
are they allowed to live like that legally?
Well, many of them live with another person, so under the law, they can, any age, the law is covered by any age. At some point, we do make sure that DSS has been involved, because we don't want just a young person out there. But there could be a circumstance where a parent is evicted and the whole family cannot go to the new location. Maybe they're staying in a hotel and there's not enough space for all of the children, so somebody's living with a family member. That child could fall under McKinney-Vento because their home is not stable and they're not living in under the same roof with their parents, so they would be considered unaccompanied.
But our over 18-year-olds are often our kids who are on their own, trying to find a place to live, really. So it's the younger ones that certainly will have supervision, no matter what their circumstances, but the older ones who really struggle.
And then what's like the transition from being a student of ours to graduating, or even in the worst case dropping out too? So like then they leave your oversight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is there anything after that or no?
For McKinney-Vento unaccompanied youth over 18, no, it's the adult system. Sadly, even
Which
if
is
we
adult.
have a student enrolled in school over 18, we do have a local teen shelter, Providence Home. Probably some of you have heard of Providence Home, but they only take young people up to 17 or through 17. So 18-year-olds in school, if they're truly homeless, we're calling local shelters that house adults. And local for us is Wilmington or Myrtle Beach, because we don't have any shelters in Brunswick County. We have Hope Harbor for domestic violence. We have Providence Home for under 18. We have a new program in Southport, a wonderful housing, Brunswick Partnership for Housing, but that's small families with children. Am I missing any? I mean, we don't have shelters in Brunswick. That's a shame. I really don't understand with all the property that we have, why we can't do better. But if we have a family truly homeless that needs housing, we have some local agencies like Brunswick Homeless Coalition and sometimes Brunswick Family Assistance that might put families up in hotels for a couple of nights, such a temporary fix. But if they have to be referred to as shelter, it's outside of Brunswick County.
So for us, that's the reason why designating one of our social workers as specifically McKinney-Vento, and that's their caseload of students, is because it is so critical for them to stay enrolled in school. Because in those situations, we are the one, I mean, we're providing 2 meals a day, we're providing counseling, we're providing guidance, we're providing access to adults who have made some good decisions in their lives. And also, I mean, right on through Brunswick Promise, where the commissioners are paying for them to have 2 years of community college even after they graduate from high school. If we can keep them enrolled in school, either with us or with our close partnership with the community college, they have a much better chance of being successful, which is much better for Brunswick County as a whole over the long term. And the best chance we can have with that is through relationship building. And so when you have one person whose job it is to build relationships with those kids, you have a much better chance of keeping them engaged in school, which is the best thing for all of us, so.
And about how many students is that currently?
So our total number for McKinney-Vento was 305 for last school year, and that
For
includes
our
our unaccompanied.
entire
I don't have that exact number. 68 is ringing out in my head, but that might not have been last year's number. But we have a large number of unaccompanied, and there's a difference between I just want to come to Brunswick County for a reason versus somebody who's falling under the McKinney-Vento. I'm homeless and unaccompanied. There's two different distinctions. So I don't. Just because you're not with your parent doesn't mean you like there's a policy that supports living in the district of your parent, but we have students who are those couch surfers. They don't have a stable overnight place. They don't know where they are night to night. So we do help make sure they have the supplies that they need, bedding. We build those connections, and we do work with the shelters if we need to transport a student. We have transported them to their school of origin here, even though they were housed in a Wilmington shelter. So that gets really long, so we have to look at the child's best interest, but that is covered under the law.
Which
Do
is
we
wonderful,
provide them with
especially for our
mentors?
graduating seniors.
We connect them with people at the school, but there's
At the
our
school,
social workers.
okay, because I'm thinking
Yes.
one person for 65
Well,
kids,
so-
I'm thinking the unaccompanied.
So her role is, that will be her caseload, so we're working, it's a new position, so we're
Right.
working as we go,
Yeah.
trying to build those connections. You know, high schoolers aren't
Yeah.
just openly welcome to everybody sometimes. So working, she's actually partnering with the current school social workers who are still that first phase. They are still that eligibility they're still
Right.
that school-based school social worker. She's working with some of them now to kind of meet some of those kiddos who are already identified. We're in the reassessment process right now, so determining whoever was considered McKinney-Vento last year, are they still eligible this year? So as we're going through those, she's meeting with the school social workers to build those connections already, and then we'll go from
Possibly
there.
give them a mentor, or somebody that just checks into them on a daily basis.
Yes.
Absolutely. So in terms of our ratios, we have 8 school social workers and the new 1 McKinney-Vento position, which is wonderful. In my 17 years, there was a time where we had 4 social workers, so it's a significant change in terms of our school coverage and the number of students we work with. Average in the county is 1 social worker per 1,713 students. The highest is 1 social worker per 2,001 students. The lowest is 1 social worker per 1,092 students. And the national recommendation is 1 social worker per 250 students. And the North Carolina current ratio is 1 per 1,033 students.
Why do you think there's such a disparity between our highest and lowest? Is it-
High schools.
Okay.
I mean, covering a high school, there's 3 of us, obviously, Northwest and South, and our numbers are well over 1,000 to start, and then and those of us that at least have 1 second school are probably the highest numbers
That's okay,
countywide.
okay.
Versus a social worker that has a middle school with maybe 800 and an elementary with, 400 or 500.
Okay.
So that would be the difference. But I think if I can picture those of us who are in high schools, we love the high school population. We're not giving up our high school.
No, they're not.
So, that would be that difference.
Did it affect that ratio when you pulled the one out that's only doing McKinney-Vento?
No, that won't affect that ratio.
Okay.
She'll work out of central office. She won't be
Okay.
assigned to a specific school.
Well, just knowing you personally, I've known you for a long time. Our
Mhm.
kids were childhood friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you are definitely the heart of social work, and you do an amazing job.
Thank
And
you.
I know all of our social workers do, but you do definitely rise to your calling, so.
Thank you. I really appreciate
Yes.
that. I also have a clinical license. Some of us do, and you'll hear that probably with behavior specialists. And that just helps in the mental health area to know that we have a few, actually I think there's 2 of us now, 1 LCSW and 1 LCSW associate on our staff that have a clinical license that just kind of raises the ability to recognize what's going on with students and provide mental health services as needed. So we love what we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is again our state report regarding how we compare to the rest of the state. And then we have Miss Amber Clifford as one of our behavior support specialists, and we actually have 8 behavior specialists. We get to that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And like she said, I'm Amber. So I currently serve at Bolivia Elementary, Virginia Williamson Elementary, and the Coast. And this year, I'm starting the 7th year at Brunswick County. Like Jennifer, I've been a social worker. That's my background, and this will be is my 20th year as a social worker. But as a behavior specialist, our license criteria is a minimum of a bachelor's in teaching or behavior science. For myself, like I said, mine is in social work. And like Jennifer said, I do hold a license. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. Our license for NCDPI is a professional education license. One of the cool things about our department is we have a little bit of diversity. Some of our team members they do have a background in teaching, and specifically a couple of my teammates have a background in EC and adaptive world. We have a couple of people that have masters and a doctorate, and they went through and they have BCBAs. And then we have some of us that went through, and our background is in mental health. So we have a wide range. So some of our roles and responsibilities is provide in-class observations, feedback and consultation, coaching with teachers, teachers' assistants in implementation of behavior strategies. How can we modify environments in terms of the classroom to support our students? Assist in development of those functional behavior assessments, which then lead to behavior intervention plans. We attend and support manifestation determinations, those IEP meetings that we've talked about already this morning. We've also talked about one of the fun things we get to do is provide professional development. Melissa already mentioned that some of us are trained as trainers in youth mental health first aid, so we've done a few of those already during the first couple of days of coming back this school year, which has been fun. And we've got a lot of good feedback, especially with our beginning teachers. We do support and are engaged in our PBIS and positive behavior supports in our schools. All of us are mindset trainers, so that is also something that we do for our schools and Brunswick County as a whole. Our team also got the privilege of getting trained in restorative practices, so we also bring that to our professional development when we are able to provide that to our staff. And then, as my teammates have mentioned, we are also part of that crisis intervention team when we're at our locations, and then also if it becomes something that an individual school needs on a larger scale. We do consultation with parents and guardians in terms of behavior plans, behavior programs. Because I am serving Bolivia and the coast, I get to be a part of day treatment programs, and then also the Achieve Academy and the Rise Academy are two of the programs that I have the privilege of working through. And then also, along with my colleagues have said, Novant, which is an awesome program that we've had going for, I think we're 5th year, if I'm not mistaken. And then just working alongside DSS and Coastal Horizons and the other private programs here in our county. We also provide, again, that direct intervention through crisis when we have students that have experienced trauma. We're trauma informed and coordinate with, like I said, DSS and Child Protective Services. We also provide school-wide and classroom interventions, and we get to push into classrooms, which is one of the things I love to do. We provide small group and individual sessions with our students. And in terms of our ratio, like Melissa said, we have 8 behavior specialists. Our average ratio is 1 to 1,713. Our highest is 1 to 2,348, and our lowest is 1 to 912. And then, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
The behavior intervention plan.
Yes, sir.
So you developed that.
Yes.
And what support do you give to the classroom for the implementation of that plan? So, for example, let's say you have a teacher that's not trained
Absolutely.
as an EC specialist. Okay, do you follow up?
Yes.
Is
So
that a standard piece of a BIP that you follow up with in the classroom to model how that plan is implemented?
Yes, sir. So last year, we put into place, doing fidelity checks with our behavior intervention plans. So we would kind of do, spot checks where we'd go in and see if the behavior intervention plans were being utilized the way that they're written. When we do behavior intervention plans, we get feedback from the parents, from the teachers, from the children, so that we know it's something that can be implemented. And then we go into the classroom, work with the teacher, coach, model, and then we make any changes if it's something that doesn't seem to fit.
But do you do that on the front end proactively, or are you doing it when you find out, you know,
Both.
get some, okay, so you do go in,
Yes, sir.
initially to sort of model how this it should work
Yes.
and what our expectations are with this one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that fidelity check gives us a chance to then, if something's not working, look at it as a coaching tool
Sure.
to then what do we need to change. And then we look at that behavior plan every time we, at least yearly, but anytime we do the IEP, so that if there's additional changes that need to be made, this is not working, then we can change it then too.
We found out through some assessments this year that might not be happening all the time, so I'll just bring that to.
Sure, and that's one of the reasons I think we put that fidelity check into practice last year, so that we could all be working,
Okay, great.
yeah,
Yeah,
doing
that
the
was
same
one of the
thing.
Changes that were put in place as a
That was
result
like
of that.
towards the end of the year, correct?
No, we started it in the beginning of the year last year.
Okay.
Other questions?
Any other questions? We're good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, to go back to the student services data collection that we are required to report, all of our team members collect data regarding those services that they deliver. This is a snapshot of the services that are provided, the unduplicated numbers. And this is specifically for school counseling, school social work, behavior support, and school psychologist. And then the next slide is the unduplicated numbers for our student nursing team.
Wow. It's a lot of bags of ice.
No,
If you've ever worked in a school, you understand that comment.
we do. I wish it was as easy as just
No,
a bag
I
of
know,
ice
but there are
nowadays.
a lot of bags of ice coming out of that.
Yes.
That's
office.
student encounters with the health office at their schools with the student returning to class instead of leaving the school.
Right.
Over 52,000.
It's a lot.
Think about that. What if,
And look at the difference of sending them home. They got them back to class versus
Right.
that
And
number's
so without school
huge.
nurses, how
Yeah.
many of those kids out of that 52,000 call their mom or dad and go home
Yep,
and miss a day of instruction?
right.
And occupy the time of other staff having to deal with that student.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Not in the school nurses.
Any questions?
And I know that was a long presentation, members of the board, but, you know, our student services part of things is huge and
Yeah.
complicated. And I think it's important that the public, at least once a year, gets sort of a comprehensive look at the different positions and what they do.
Well, it's
I
a
hope you
team effort.
appreciated that.
I mean, it is
Yeah,
a
and they're
team
very
effort. I
important
mean,
too.
it is, you can't do it without all of those,
That's right.
all of you, because everybody works together cohesively to
That's
make
right.
it all work out. So I appreciate all, and the training, I know you've had a lot of training, a lot of training.
Really
And a
proud
lot
of
of
our team.
now
A
it's
lot
time
of people
to
can't-
implementation.
A lot of people can't relate because they're not in that, so they lose sight of what's really going on in some of these kids' lives, and it can be, it's very sad, some of the situations our kids are in.
And it's very comparable to, you know, how physical health needs are met these days. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not by one doctor anymore.
Right.
You know, it's a team of people that meet your physical needs. So
Specialized.
you have to have a team of people to meet students' mental health and social emotional needs as well, so.
And with
And
that,
their
I'd
support
like-
for the teachers and the staff, and it's just, it's a great microcosm of folks
Yes,
making it all
is.
work.
And with that, if we could put the mental health plan on the consent agenda, then we can move on with that. Thank you.
Thank you. And so next we have Mr. Pascal to talk with us about AP exams.
Good morning, board. Those in the public, I also just want to reiterate the partnership that we do that we have constantly with student services between administration, principals is very strong, but it is cohesive intentionally. I can think of stories, several of us can think of stories, but one in particular at West Brunswick was a student who had a behavior intervention plan, and we saw this student up until the last year that I was at West struggling through, but his support staff, his counselors, his teachers, all pitching in to try and make sure that this young man stayed in school and got his diploma. He did, went through Mr. Watkins' class in automotive, ended up becoming a salesman, and later, just last year, found me, came and saw me and said that he was the lead salesman on his floor at the automotive place. I won't name which one, obviously, to try to protect his name, but he was very proud of what he's doing now. And I think that's just one small testament, huge for that young man, of what our student services group do on a regular basis. But I wanted to lead into our AP exam funding. We have the General Assembly obviously not approving all the budget yet. There is, however, two proposals for the North Carolina Advanced Placement Partnership. The House is approving a fund for it, which would do as we have over the past several years now. It would pay for the fees to cover all of our students who are taking advanced placement exams in our high schools. But however, the Senate has proposed a budget that eliminates that, and DPI obviously requires us to choose the lesser of the two in the event that the Senate budget proposal goes through, then the funding wouldn't be there. So obviously we have to work out of the least of the two. Well, with that being said, this is just an informative piece right now. I wanted to make sure you all were aware, because it does affect around 831 exams last year, which was right at 576 students last year we're getting to take an exam free of charge because the state did fund this. And it's right at $99 per exam. So if you can remember, and sorry I threw that number out there quickly and I didn't put it up here, but around 576 students took individual students took AP exams last year at a total of 831 exams. Obviously some students took more than one. So it's not just $99. Some students take 4 AP classes. That's going to be around $400. This is new. This was given to us just in the past month and a half. So obviously we've been working through the details. What can we do? We still have the ability to cover those who may need it, financial assistance for it, and so does the College Board. They have a needs-based reduction and waiver process that we would go through. But unfortunately, it is a big change, and registration occurred all the way back in February, as you're aware. So families and students were informed of AP exams, what it meant, AP classes, that it could allow you to get college credit, and then parents and students made a decision of whether they were going to take the class or not. And now this change may, hopefully not, affect their decision. So with that being said, we want to inform them in a written memo, and if you'll scroll down for me, Tori, I have a memo drafted that I could send out as early as tomorrow to families, and the principals have agreed that they would send this out as soon as we all are in agreement with it. And then notifying them also on the first day of school, we would want to print this and give it to them. We're recommending that they don't change their class, and if we are not, if they are going to stay in the class, we're going to allow them to actually opt out of taking the AP exam, which we have typically not done.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Because this may actually change your memo. And the board members, I've talked to, I think, everybody on this board about this already, but when Mr. Cole brought this to me and said it was going to be on the agenda for today, you know, these families signed up for these courses under the notion that the test was going to be paid for. So, and what you're saying here is we will make it, you know, we won't make the test mandatory as we have in the past, but they may be, you know, on the hook for the cost of it. And I think, you know, in discussing with the board members here, we should make the, you know, continue making the test optional this year, but I think this board needs to step up and cover the cost for the exams that are elected to be taken. Two reasons. A, these students signed up for the courses because they wanted the college credit and they wanted to challenge themselves, which we should support. Number two, the families signed up for the courses under the notion that they were going to be paid for. No fault of their own is that funding being pulled. It's also not ours, but we're in the student business. And I think investing in our students to take these exams would be a good thing for this year. We can address how we approach it next year, but I think that we need to, this board needs to step up and cover the cost of this, and also advocate with our state legislatures, to go back and funding it the way they did.
Well, that's a new proposal. Any questions though? Because that does change the memo.
That would, yeah, that would
Yeah.
change.
I would say, I mean, I agree, other than, I don't think we would address it next year. I think we would just make them aware that this is a one-year program.
Yes, I apologize. That's what I meant,
just a
yeah.
one-time.
There's
Right.
no expectation that we're gonna pay it after this year.
Yeah, I could draft up a new memo,
Yeah,
and we'd be
yeah.
happy to. Obviously,
But
that
for
would
this
change
year, we will
that.
cover the cost of the exams that are taken.
As long as they have the ability to opt out if they want.
Yeah, they're no longer mandatory. They're out.
Wait, so just real quick, why would we, when they signed up for their AP classes, it was under the notion that the exam was gonna be paid for, and they knew that they were gonna be required to take the AP exam if they
Yeah.
took that AP class.
Yeah.
And they signed up for the class because presumably they wanted to earn the college credit.
Right.
So I guess, respectfully, my suggestion to the board, I mean, I appreciate the board's willingness to locally fund this for 1 year because of the circumstance that the General Assembly has created. But it seems to me that we would require them to take the exam just like we have in the past if we're gonna pay for it. I mean, why
Would
why-
you though, would you want to pay for an exam if they're failing the class and they know they don't feel like if their grades all year have not been good, then why would we pay for that and force them to take an exam that they probably aren't going to pass?
Okay, well then,
I mean, I don't know.
maybe we put in that if they're failing the class, we don't pay for
Right,
an
and in my
exam.
head,
But
why
I don't
else
wanna give
would they
them
opt
the,
out of taking it unless they were failing the class?
because they do. And I just,
If
I don't,
somebody else is paying, why would they?
because they don't wanna take the exam.
Okay.
I mean, it happens, so I guess my thing is, I just, I honestly don't want, I just don't see, I don't want kids taking AP classes if they're not gonna take the exam,
Well, I
but
don't
some do it, and I don't know why, but
either.
that's what happens.
Is there a guesstimate of what percentage do not take the exam? I mean, I
Or
know,
what
I feel like it's
percentage
saying.
pass?
We make them take it now.
Yeah,
I mean,
right
we-
now, right now, I would say nearly 100% take the exam. We haven't allowed them to really opt out. Now, were there times when a student did not show up and then we couldn't get them on a makeup day?
Something.
Sure, I'm not gonna say that, but no, we want them to take the exam. If they sit through the class, that's part of the work towards it. I mean, otherwise, some students might coast through and not take it as serious and not be prepared for it. That's possible.
I
And I
would
guess,
imagine
yeah.
that a kid that's failing wouldn't show up for the exam, so they wouldn't take it anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I just think that's a waste of money if we're paying for an exam that they're not coming to take.
I mean, they still get the weighted
So I
grade
don't
on
know
their.
why they would show up to take it if they're failing the class, is the thing.
Yeah, they're still
But
gonna get the weighted
I
grade
guess they could,
for,
but I can't
for
imagine
whatever grade they make.
that they would.
Well, with that
So,
proposal, it certainly does help out the decision-making of a family that did register and a student that did register in
Yeah,
February
awesome.
with the assumption that they were going to take the exam and it would be covered. And some families, like I said, do take up to 4 AP
so
classes.
this was last year's numbers, so,
That was based on last year's numbers.
okay, so this year you're not.
I don't have the exact numbers yet
Right,
because
but
of Infinite
similar,
Campus, but I did.
Possibly similar.
No, it's probably only gonna go up a little bit. We've been increasing the numbers in CCP classes and AP exams, so it'll be relatively,
So, what was was it 82,000
It's
something?
82,000.
Something last
Yeah.
year.
If we keep
If
the
we
test
did.
mandatory.
yeah, 82,269 if we kept it mandatory and we were able to fund it.
And I'll give it to the rest of the board members. If you wanna keep it mandatory, I'm fine with that as well. I just, kinda like Vicky,
Yeah.
if we have students who aren't going to, put in all the effort into the
Well, I
test.
think the
Because our
taxpayer
pass rate on
money-
this is fairly low at this point, is it not?
Our pass.
It's gotten a lot
increased.
better.
It's increased to 72% pass rate right now, so
Okay.
72% of them are getting college credit for it.
Well, and the higher the score, some AP, you can place out, like say, of like 2 history classes if you get a 5, all
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it varies
It varies
slightly.
at different
dep-
colleges,
depending on
but-
each university.
But yeah,
So,
I'm not standing on, I think we should cover it for this year, the
Okay.
cost of it.
Yeah.
Now, now the second piece of that is, are we gonna leave the policy as it is and make them take the exam?
so I guess I'm just confused of why they would,
Opt out.
well,
Or what?
I mean, I can see them opting out if they're failing the class.
Yeah.
And if our pass rate's 70, whatever
Two or
percent.
70, yeah.
How about I offer this? Technically, we don't register until November. I've got a little bit of time. If you would allow me, I can do a little bit of research, see what other districts have done and have seen success in.
Right.
And Superintendent Cole, if it'd be okay with you, I could propose a change in just that. If y'all are willing to fund the total amount, then anything less would just
Right.
be.
Yeah.
I guess just, if it's gonna be optional, I guess then I don't see the point as far as, I wouldn't wanna allow a student to register for an AP class after they've taken an AP class and then opted out of taking the exam.
Yeah, because you're not, yeah.
So maybe they get to do it that one time, but after that, if you're not gonna take the exam, then
Right.
you don't need to be registered in AP, and we don't have to register them in an AP class. They can do CCP,
Yeah.
or NCVPS or something like that, that's not, an AP class. I just want it because it's a great way to measure the quality of our AP classes, and we start having kids opt out, and they do. You have students who come from families who can afford to pay for them to go to college, and they don't have to have that college credit.
Well, I'm elementary background, so
That's the
it's
thing,
confusing
is-
to me why we would pay if they're failing.
Like as a high school principal, I have seen quite a few students who were passing the AP class doing well. But through my observations of maybe the teacher in the classroom, I had questions about the quality of the instruction in the class. But the grades in the grade book looked great. I wanted the data from the AP exam, and I didn't get it because they didn't take the exam. They
Gotcha.
opted out of the exam.
Gotcha.
And so, to me, if you're not gonna take the exam, what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, just take a CCP class, and then you pass the
You get
class, you get
college.
the credit, so.
Well, I agree that feedback on quality of instruction is good, but what do you do with that evidence? I mean, how do you address the quality of
Well,
instruction?
With the teacher,
one-
I would-
I mean,
one
do
could
we
argue.
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
Are
I
there some
think
repercussions? Are there some
Or we don't
hard
allow,
conversations?
we absolutely, through the PDP, Professional Development Plan and evaluation process, backed up by the data from the exam, we create a plan for that teacher to improve in their instruction in their AP class, or we just take that AP class away from them. We don't have to allow them to teach an AP section if they're not getting great results. But if the kids if it's optional, and like kids that maybe not necessarily failing, maybe they're making a C, but they don't wanna take the exam, cause they're not interested in sitting down to take that exam. Now I don't really have that in the data or in the results to back up what I wanna do. So I just, I like having, if you're gonna take an AP exam, you should take if you're gonna take an AP class, you should take the exam. And if you opt out, in the end, I can't make you show up for the exam, but I don't have to register you for an AP class next year
Right.
either. So,
But do we not, so you said we don't register them in November. You're talking about for the test?
for the exam, we don't have to purchase the exams until November. And then this year, they're allowing us to back out if, for some reason, students
Well, we
choose
need
to.
to just decide before school starts if they're gonna back out of these classes, correct?
I would
So we
prefer
need to
between.
decide if we're willing to pay for the test.
yeah,
Well,
I would
I think
say this
we're-
is
it's still time
this is
sensitive.
time
We can-
sensitive
we
because I don't
decided
want.
we're gonna pay for it, it's just a
Yeah.
question
Well,
of how
we
many
need to carry a
tests.
motion and a vote then, because it's a
Yeah,
change.
I mean, we can let them know we're gonna pay for it, but there's gonna be some details on who's gonna be required to take the test. Or, right, I mean, if anybody takes the test, we're paying for it.
Yes, but
Correct?
Yeah.
because we've never done that before, I believe.
We just haven't decided if it's gonna be optional or not.
We probably need to carry a motion on that, Ms. Smith, because it's,
Okay.
because it's a change. And I'll make the motion that we, Brunswick County Schools will cover the cost of the AP exams. At this point, for all students, we will determine on who's gonna take the test, but we will cover the cost of, the AP exams for this current upcoming school year. And that's my motion.
I'll make a second.
Well, hang on a second. So I agree with you that they should be mandatory, because I think it does tell us about the instruction. why would a student knowingly take an AP class and then go, I'm not gonna take the exam? Because the point in taking an AP class is to be prepared for higher level learning. So you don't take a BCC class and be able to opt out of taking the final exam.
Right.
I mean, you don't
I
get to
get
do
what
that.
you're saying,
Yeah.
it's just the message that we had gotten was different than that. So in my head, we were only paying for it for the kids who didn't
The ones who really
opt out.
cared.
Right, the one who thought they could pass it, basically. But I didn't think about that part of it.
But the motion is to cover all of them taking it.
Yeah, I agree that,
Yes.
because they've signed up in, February, spring, whatever, to take AP classes, and we've always paid for the
Right.
exam. I agree we should do that.
Right.
Especially this year, because they signed up so long ago to take,
So it sounds like Ms. Moffitt seconded my motion.
yeah, they registered.
And Ms. Moffitt,
Yeah.
I guess my point to that would be,
Yeah.
we say they're required to take the exam. I can't make them
Right.
actually show up and take the
Right.
exam. What I can do is take away their ability to take future AP
Futures, yeah.
classes if they don't take
Yeah.
the exam. So if they opted out because they were making a C or a D
Yeah.
in the class and they didn't think they could pass the exam anyway, and they don't wanna sit there for 3 hours taking that test because they don't think they can pass,
Yeah.
we still wouldn't be paying for it.
Yeah,
If
right,
they
right,
didn't
right.
show up.
Oh, we wouldn't be paying for it. I thought we paid for it ahead of
I
time.
mean, not that they didn't take the test.
You have to
Do we
pay
pay
ahead.
ahead?
We have to pay ahead, whether we charge
Yes.
them back or
Oh,
not
Yes.
well, in the
is
past, it
different.
wasn't
No,
the way it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
It was after the fact.
Yeah, now,
So we have to pay
but that
for
still
everyone
could work if we
enrolled?
don't pay them back. They get charged is what I thought you were thinking.
So we have to pay for everybody that's enrolled, whether they take the test or
In
not?
November, we would, yeah, we would send the registration in. And I've listened to both sides. I would also, as a former high school principal as well, and an AP teacher, I taught AP Calc and AP Stat. The buy-in that you have of students that are in your course, knowing that they're all going towards that one end goal, and I can't really decipher which one's gonna pass or fail an AP exam until right at review time, and then you get a really good sense, because it's a lot of spiral review throughout at an AP level until the end. So with that, the buy-in of getting your entire class of 32 students in there and getting them along the way, I would also recommend covering it this year if you're willing to, and we appreciate that because that's a big ask. So thank you for thinking of that. But the idea of being able to pay for all of them, I think, would be the best option to make sure that you get that true buy-in from every kid all the way through.
Meaning you require them to take the exam.
Mhm.
Look at that.
So then I'm good with that. I'm good. Is everybody good with that? That's just not what we were.
We have a motion on the floor.
Okay.
Do you have a
Motion on
second?
the floor. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank y'all so much, and truly, this will be one of those instances where those families that take up to 4 exams, like I said, 2 to 4 exams, and that could be a large expense last minute for someone to realize that they might need to change. And now to couple with the decision of whether I take an AP exam, a class or not, you have afforded them not to have to make that last minute decision, and then really move forward for it. So thank y'all.
So those who enroll will take the class and they will all take the exam and we will pay
We will
for
pay
it
for it.
this year, just as
Just
a
1 year.
review for the public. Okay.
That's right.
After a lot of discussion. All right.
And that will
Which is good
eliminate.
discussion and it
Yeah,
helps
yeah.
everybody
And it'll,
understand.
this decision will eliminate, I think, a lot of mass chaos next
Schedule
week of
changes.
drop
Oh,
ad
yeah.
for the counselors.
Yes.
So that'll be good.
Okay, and now we have Ms. White to talk about federal programs.
This is just our yearly consolidated grant approval process for asking for this to be on consent. It's all of our federal funds. As you are aware, there was a freeze in funds, and so we were waiting for that process to open back up. It has now opened back up, and it is mostly complete at this point, but the Department of Public Instruction has asked us to go ahead and go through the approval process with all of you. No significant changes for us in regards to these programs, thank goodness. We're waiting on some final deals with some final information from Title I Part C, which is our migrant program, and some exact numbers with that. There is, like I said, no significant change. I am happy to walk you through the 62-page application, but if you have reviewed it,
Believe it or
The
not,
audience need that.
believe it or not, I have one question.
yeah, please.
Okay, and
Yeah.
this has to do with TAC. I know it's very it says it will meet monthly. Do
It's
they meeting quarterly now?
It's quarterly,
It
yeah,
says monthly.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'll
It's
fix that.
okay.
Yeah, no, thank you
I'm
for,
one typo out of all those 50 pages I actually read until 12:30 last night.
thank you for doing
So,
that.
I mean,
Yes.
it's just a,
No,
it's just
it
a
is.
small
It's
thing.
quarterly. Yes, thank you so much.
Anyway,
Yes.
that's all I have to say about that.
Right.
The rest
Well,
of
we
it
are
was fine.
obviously, you know, a large portion of our staff is funded out of this. Just for the public, it is a total of 4.7 million right now, so there's a
It was an
significant impact.
amazing, I mean, I really,
Programmatically.
I don't usually
it is.
read all those documents, but I just thought this
Well,
really,
and I
it's
think what-
fascinating, all the different things that are
And I did
encompassed
want to
by that.
connect the students, I hope you saw what was presented through the student support team lives through the work that we do through the consolidated application, and I'm just so proud of that team and the work they do. And I think something that was represented here is the sustainability of our staff there. We are extremely fortunate to be, that we have not a lot of vacancies and those kinds of things. Those are very hard positions to fill in a lot of other districts, and our folks are coming and staying, and I am just so incredibly proud of the work they did, and I thought that was a great kind of connection to this morning, so I was very proud. And then I'm gonna start your policies.
Do
You
it.
wanna
Do it.
go through it? So the first one is the policy 1310, 4002, and it's in regards to parental involvement, and there's just one specific change in regarding for students to share sleeping quarters with a member of other biological sex other than an immediate family member during an activity. And so this has been updated within that, and then also across policy 3680, which is the student organizations. These were, I should have said, these, just everything that we're bringing is through the summer legislative change with this. So we have responded quickly to this. So 30-10 is the next one, and that's the parental
I'm sorry,
inspection.
Ms. White, just one question. 1310.
1310,
Yeah. Let's see. Under
The
D,
changes,
number
page
7.
10.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I had something about review in central office. I think that
Okay.
was,
You said D.
D, well,
It's
okay, D number 7. I don't know if that's right or not, if I'm on the right thing or not.
Participation in mental health assessment or mental health services under
Okay,
circumstances
I guess
prescribed
that's
by.
assessment. The survey, now that answers my question
The
earlier about
safety
the student
assessment,
surveys.
yes.
But about the student surveys, so
Yeah.
there are no more student surveys.
Correct.
The other one, I think, was to review the curriculum at the central office. Somewhere it talks about being
That-
able to review at the central office as well as school-based.
This is in 3210.
So that's somewhere here at the central office if a parent wanted to come and review.
Yeah, it says the superintendent or the designee,
3210,
so it would
okay.
come, to me first with that
Okay.
review process. We also have the review process
I know
through
you
the
have it.
schools.
That's-
It is,
I know you do.
we
It's
have
just-
that everywhere now. We're gonna take care of it wherever it's gonna come in and make sure, and if it's K-8, I'm gonna be part of it, and if it's high school, Mr. Pascal's gonna be
I'm
part of
sure
it.
it was, I just
Yeah.
said it was
No, no, no.
housed here as well at central office and all that stuff. And everything's on the computer. so.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, we are very fortunate with that, and we have done, we've tried to share with you a little bit, I guess it was last month, in regards to our newsletters that are going out to parents as well, and we've got, that goes to our teachers, and then they can feed it through to parents in different ways. We're district-wide dojo this year, so we're gonna be communicating all the same ways, which is gonna be wonderful for parents. So we've got great ways to push information, so our parents have that information kind of at their fingertips, and then access to it with all our kids, having devices, going home, middle school and high school, they have it with them there.
Well, I
so.
mean, honestly, copyright laws would allow us, I would
You
just
could just-
link our curriculum on the website, so that people could read it, whenever and whenever they want it, but, obviously we can't do that due to copyright laws, so.
Well, I knew the new curriculum that Ms. Pascal presented last year, that's all online and access for the parents and all that, so.
And that basically the change here was moving from 10 with the option of 20 days. I don't think it would ever take us 20 days, honestly. We have, everything is so accessible, and the work that we've done through pacing and all of that, we are so organized at this point and kind of united across our system that it is very advantageous for this policy. So basically, the part that I'll use through our documentation process is that it'll be in writing, it'll be timestamped, so if there's any questions or any issues, we'll have a record for that. So that's the change in 3210. And then, are we good with 3510? All right, so 3510 is dealing specifically with changes in regards to religious-based exemptions, and essentially just making sure that that there isn't a substantial burden on the students' religious beliefs or invade their privacy by calling attention to their religion. And so we would find alternate activities for those situations as well. And I think that goes back to the previous policy is having the availability of that. Should make that pretty easy for any parents that would want to make that that request. All right, so the next one that I have is 4311, use of wireless communication devices. We know there was some nice legislative changes that supported what we were already doing, and we're very excited about this school year having all of our middle schools participating in the Yonder Pouch initiative, and we had a training date a couple of weeks ago for our administrators in middle school, and they are good to go and have everything ready. We've been at multiple schools obviously over the past week. Things are asset tagged and procedures are in place, and we're really excited about that start. Specifically with this policy, it's just become more detailed in regards to definitions. We know instructional time needs to be protected, and that's a big part of the change, is making sure that we have the appropriate conditions for this. Additionally, we have added a local change, which is under G, so 4311G, and that is staff use of personal communication device during school hours can lead to errors, delays, and interrupted instructional time. Therefore, personal non-emergency calls, text, emails, and social media used by school and district staff while on campus can only be made before or after the instructional day, the work shift, or during lunch and break times. And that was a local addition for us, and everything else was part of the recommendation, but we had already surpassed that, so.
So this was the brand new legislation that's just come down
It
in
was-
the last, what?
Yeah, we had the existing policy, and
Okay.
then basically they added the legislative components, but we were already functioning under
Right.
that.
A lot of
Yeah.
it
We
was
were already
already
doing
ahead,
what the state
compliant.
legislation comprised. There were a lot of school districts that did not have the policy that we had.
Right.
So the state, I think, made up the difference in this. And, by the way, this addition to the policy, we already had this in our employee handbook. So we're just
Putting
taking it
another
from the
spot.
employee handbook and we're putting it in the policy as well.
And so staff has been made aware of that.
It was already in the handbook, which
Right.
I think we put in 3-4 weeks ago into school leaders memo as part of the additions there for that.
Just to
And then
reinforce.
Yep, and then when staff came back, last week, they went through their training, and one of the things they have to do is sign off on the staff handbook.
Now, will the Yonder tonight, for the, I guess, middle school open houses are tomorrow. So will they have some kind, I guess, the Yonder pouches and all that kind of stuff will be,
Yes,
Ex-
yeah.
they won't
They'll have
get
a-
them
they'll have-
until-
They'll have a station, yeah, they'll
but
have their
they
checkout
won't get them
procedure.
until, or will they get them at open house if they're there?
I think that they are all doing them the first week. I don't think anybody has changed to tomorrow night, but don't quote me
No,
on
I
that, cause that's a
didn't know
moving
that was-
target with inventory and things like that.
That's up to each
um,
school, that's the same thing.
Ms. Timpkins has done a great job of coordinating that with our Chromebook checkout, and so we're gonna kind of check everything out at the same time, and we have procedures for keeping things, safe and, in one piece, and those kinds of, work that they did this summer was really, it's going to streamline the process for them. We are sending home Chromebooks with all middle schoolers. We have left it up to each school, and some did 8th grade, some did 6th, 7th, and 8th, and we had this kind of hodgepodge. And we want to make sure that we keep our devices in good shape while they're at home, but that requires some training with the kiddos and parents, but also some documentation for that. And then we're doing spot checks in the classroom for both the pouches and the Chromebooks. And the Chromebooks are across all of our kids.
The reason for that Chromebook change was just when we would have storms and school closures. You know, I think in the past, the focus has been on closing schools and opening schools at the same time on the same day as a district. And the direction we've gone in the last few years is when we have a storm and a closure, it impacts, we have a large, very geographically different county. And so why keep all of the schools closed when we don't have to?
Right.
But then when some grade levels at middle schools take their Chromebooks home and some don't, it just becomes a mess of how we're gonna work all of that. So the thought is, middle schoolers need to learn responsibility anyway. So we are going to just issue Chromebooks to all middle school students, and that way we're fully prepared for virtual, or if we can bring a school back to an open status face-to-face, and we don't have to wait, we're not gonna wait. But if we do have to stay virtual, like we did at Southport Elementary last year, longer than everybody else, which could very easily happen in another region of the county with a storm, depending on where it hit, we have that option with the middle school students.
I think that's good.
Yeah, we're excited about that, because that was very hard to coordinate when 17 was shut down, where to go to get devices, have to drive devices
Oh, yeah.
around,
Yeah.
and with that, so.
We just felt like we could eliminate that.
Yeah.
And I do think there'll be a presentation probably from every principal, middle school principal, on yonder pouches at open house.
They'll have a
Yeah, they
table
have a table set up.
that'll be set up with that, and they kind of show them how it works there. And I was at both Cedar Grove and Town Creek Middle last year when we did the pilot, and they had their tables there where very, very popular parents, majority of our parents are very happy to have us put this in place for them. The next two policies are connected in regards to moving away from the only choice of being EpiPens to the nasal sprays, which is a great opportunity for our families and our kiddos that are not loving needles. So the epinephrine emergency delivery system now, so it's not the auto injectors anymore, and it just demonstrates the change to that this would now include the nasal sprays.
Is that, the nasal, is that a new thing, or if they?
I don't know when they were FDA approved.
So last year I received, sorry.
We've been doing it
I
in the
have,
investigator.
I have
Okay.
trades
I was
gonna
here
say,
if you wanna
it's
see, but,
great.
last year there was, a pharmacy called, or a pharmaceutical company called Neffy. They came out with a nasal medication, because in the past years we've seen, seizure medications become a nasal form. We've seen all sorts of medication, Narcan became, so this company developed nasal Neffy. And so our old way of doing it, hopefully soon to be our own old way of doing it, and what we have in our schools now is the injectable form, where you take the blue cap off, and then it has to go into the thigh. You hold for 3 seconds and you bring it out, and the needle is retracted into the end here. And so the company Neffy came out with the nasal, so it's just like the others, it's a trainer, it goes up into their nose, the person presses it, it releases into their nose, there's no counting, it goes into their nose. So, state assembly is passing this so that it can be any kind of form of, delivery system, not just the pens. The next step is contacting Neffy, getting the prescriptions, contacting Neffy so that we can get these into the schools, free, so that we don't.
And you just happen to have them readily available to
I
display and everything, so
actually have
she
to
does-
apologize.
No, that's
I
great.
was on the list for presenting these, and then apparently there was a change, and I missed
No,
that.
that's great.
So
I'm
you
so
were-
sorry.
I
Did
know, I
just
apologize.
take over?
I just
No, I
wondered.
apologize. I
No,
was
I think
going
it's
by the
great.
agenda, so, yeah. No,
I
that
just
was
wonder,
good.
and I'm also thinking personally, my son has to carry an EpiPen, but I just wasn't familiar with the nasal, so I'm
Yeah.
It's
just
just
curious.
been-
Was it like 3 years ago that those were
Okay.
FDA approved, I think?
Yeah, it's just been
It's
recent.
probably a lot easier, I mean, it's probably a lot easier, especially in an emergency, to have to not get to that five, so. Thank you. Plus my son don't have to carry it.
No, that's okay. It is good.
Thank you, Ms. White.
All right, I just have 3 updates, really. 2 of them are verbatim the same. It's just going into the extracurricular activities and under 3620 and then also 3320. Both is the same paragraph, and it is parent permission is still required for all trips, so no change to that, but they are making sure that we all have it in policy now, the General Statute 12, 3.3, that those sleeping quarters must be with someone of the opposite biological sex.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
So this is different than the policy she showed. It didn't give you any parental option to provide written permission?
that was gonna be my question.
You talking about the,
The first one.
yeah. And are you talking about number 2 up there?
Yeah,
Under-
that second option, I mean, the policy she showed, which is what the policy should be, is that we're not gonna allow, members of the opposite biological sex to sleep together on field trips or to be in the same room unless they are members, of the same family.
Mhm.
That's what it said.
Right. So, and this was guided or given to us by the state board. If that second line in our district, by the way, we don't allow this, and no time does an advisor ever give that opportunity, I guess, for two parents to agree to it. If it's not a parent, sibling, grandparent, a teacher sometimes also has their kid traveling with them, those are the instances where they would be allowed to stay with them. In terms of number 2, we don't typically have it. If we were to cross through that, we would just want to check and see what that looks like in terms of guidance from any legal piece. But that came from General Statute 12, 3.3.
Well, I mean, this deals with the exact same thing she presented, so they're not the same. So,
Okay.
I mean, something needs
To be changed. I can,
Either that one, if this is required, are you saying this is required from the state, or
This was
is this a
rec-
recommendation?
This is recommendation from the State Board of Ed, yeah. This was a part
This
of
is a
their change.
recommendation, this is not a required policy change.
Well, this part of this required says,
Is
as
the-
a reference to the new state law required that the school receive parental permission before allowing students to share sleeping quarters. But I did just verify that the way that it's written here is the exact way that we received it from the NCSBA.
Yeah, but it's not the same as the change she presented for
Yeah,
the
that-
same.
So the changes Molly presented
in
might
the
need to
field
be
trip.
reworded for this.
Well, I would hope we would reword this one to the way
Yeah.
Molly's was presented.
Right.
I mean, that we don't allow parents of two students who are not related to have this, they say, yeah, they have our permission to be in the same.
Well, but Mr. Gainey, I'm sitting here reading that and thinking, when we take our DC trip in some of the elementary schools, it might be a mother who has a son going, so she would sleep with her son in, I'm talking 5th grade, and she may have 2 other boys in the room, in the other bed. So that's a
But
problem.
that's family members.
No,
Huh?
I'm talking about.
No, like,
she
I can
would-
say my sons
With-
could stay there with
with
Vicky
me.
and her son.
Right, his 2 boys.
Because she's
Yeah, I
the
don't have-
chaperone,
Right, for that group.
she's the chaperone for that group, because one of the students is her son. So we're saying that
So that's allowable.
Steve's sons
Well,
could
that's
stay
not what
with.
it says. I mean, that might be how
That's
it's
what that one
used.
says,
That's
right?
not what it says. It's not limited, it's not
It
limited
says
in any
with
way.
permission.
Students are prohibited from sharing sleeping quarters with anyone of the other biological sex as defined by general statute during a school trip, unless the member of the biological sex is the student's immediate family member, or the parents of all students sharing the sleeping quarters have provided written permission to the school.
Right.
So you're saying they shouldn't be allowed to provide written?
I mean, there's no there's no qualification
Does it say
on
and
a
or?
particular circumstance where that would be allowed.
If
I
it
mean,
said
it's just
and
if you've
or.
got 2 parents that say, our kids can share those rooms, my daughter can share the room with my neighbor's son.
Right, which
That
is what
allows
Ms.
that.
Smith was just saying. Like, for instance,
But there's
Ms.
no
Smith had-
family relationship.
right, but they're a chaperone on the trip.
But
It
the
doesn't
That's what
limit
you're
it to chaperone.
Right.
I'm just saying, it's different, it's different, and we need to understand what the policy is required to be, because the one that was presented by Molly is different from this one.
Yeah.
I think what
What if
Vicky's
you-
saying
Both are
is the
correct.
adult is the only one that's
The
different.
kids would all
Right.
have
The
to be
kids have to all be the same
Right.
sex.
Biological.
We can't have
Okay, we're
the,
talking about
yeah,
children of opposite biological sex sharing the same room on a field trip.
No.
No, not
No.
students.
It says it's prohibited.
That's what this policy is addressing.
Right,
Okay.
Right.
It's the prohibition against that.
right,
That's what her policy addressed.
right,
The same circumstance.
right.
This policy is written differently in her.
Right.
It is.
We agree.
Okay,
Right,
so-
understand that.
Right.
Which one should it be?
I don't think the students should mix.
No.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not saying personally which
Yeah.
should it be. I'm saying, what have we what, has
Should
the
that-
direction that we've received from NCSBA, is it contradictory? Did we get it?
That's
The
what this
way that
is.
both of these are is the exact way they were received, so
And
that
we
is
have
the
not changed them.
yeah, the
And
language
that's the
was
same
copied
in
and
both
pasted.
policies.
And in our lens, it's
Or-
similar, our lens of reading this was similar to what Ms. Smith brought up. So if you're seeing a different lens and you think there's a possible loophole for number 2, I would
Possible
want
loophole,
to.
I mean, I'm just reading what. it
Well, no,
says.
I don't mean
I'm not
possible loophole. I'm saying if someone could use it differently than what we saw it as, then,
You're reading in a loophole. I mean,
No, I didn't mean
you're
loophole.
qualifying it
Yeah.
for a particular circumstance. This has no qualification for a particular
Everybody has
circumstance.
to
It doesn't
agree
say
it's
in the,
okay
in the event of
Them to stay with.
a chaperone.
Chaperone.
Yeah.
Right, but we
Mhm.
can't allow them to.
It's just it's a blanket statement that 2 parents can give permission for their children to share the same room.
well, a possible solution for now would be to approve it and cross through number 2 because it seems, they
Why don't
sent
we
it to us.
just adopt the same policy that she gave us for this section?
That paragraph minus
What sort-
the second option.
What does yours,
It's, so if you wanna go back, it's 1310, and it's, what's the addition of number 11? And it's students sharing sleeping quarters with a member of the other biological sex during any activity or event authorized by the school unless the member of the other biological sex is the student's immediate family member. So it doesn't specify.
Just took out the second.
So we
What
probably just
heading,
all of
what
this.
section is this under?
D11,
Parental permission, which is the same heading of that other section.
parent
So we
involvement?
could take out, basically take that same paragraph and use it twice for now.
Take the one from the one you're talking, because that's more specific to,
Yeah, I think we're trying to nail down the
Right.
specific part of it,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If the state board gave us that paragraph for a reason, I don't know why they would recommend us to have something
I was
so
gonna say,
different in the other.
should maybe we
Ask clarification.
pursue some clarification from the State Board of, or the
The School
State
Board
School Boards Association on that question before we,
I think so,
That's
yes.
fine. And check with Mr.
because
Locke,
there
too.
may be some reason why they did that. That it's a building filled with lawyers, so, we could ask.
And I would think the second one is more, it's got more meat to it, so if you, any possibly that you could use the same, that in both.
Yeah, we could seek
Policies.
guidance.
Yeah, we can do, how about that?
This
We'll
is
just,
the first reading, we can resolve this prior to the next meeting when we actually vote on this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So my
we'll
own-
pursue some clarification
My
on
only
that.
concern is that because these were given to us, that they go into effect at the start of the school year, I think we were assuming that they would have to be approved today in order to be in effect
So we
before.
could bring back it as an amendment.
Oh, they're all
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
Would that be acceptable to everybody? If
Sure.
we could still pursue clarification from the School Boards Association on this, and if need be, we can make an amendment.
If need be,
So my question, would you rather, whichever language you prefer, do you want me to go ahead and apply that language to both policies with the expectation that we see clarity, and if we do need to revert it back to the original language that they provided, we do that as an amendment? Or do you wanna keep it as it's written, adopt it that way, and then if needed, revise it?
Well, I think we may not have to amend it if we did, but I don't know how we couldn't have to amend one or the other, but, if we are gonna amend it, then we can keep it like it is.
Yeah.
My recommendation would be that we approve it as written, coming from the School Boards Association, let them kind of take responsibility for it right now. We're not gonna have a whole lot of field trips in the next month.
No.
So I think we can, approve it as is, and then we can pursue some clarification and report back on what we find. And that might be a suggested amendment, or it might be,
more
an
clarification.
explanation that, they give us.
Mhm.
Because the other one makes It's got more meat to it, the second one that you,
Mm.
and also another sticky, the and or, the parent has to sign that, I mean, may, shall, and or, I mean, all those one word could change the whole
Mm.
effectiveness of the policy to make it more clear, so.
Yeah, we will definitely follow up with someone from the State Board of Ed in between now and the board meeting. The last one I had is great for our military families and obviously us supporting them. If you, once you get there, because the same information was in those two policies. So the third one, this is under 4120, and it basically affords us the opportunity to be able to give our military connected families, they can enroll in our schools without having a proof of residence right away. So it gives them time to be able to prove that. Obviously, being pretty transient at times, this supports them to make sure that we can get them enrolled. And it also, pretty interesting piece to it, it adds in the requirement for us to offer, fortunately we have Brunswick Virtual Academy, a remote enrollment option for those as well. So if students are moving and they're just maybe being displaced short term out of our system, we can offer them remote learning as well as an option if they want that. So.
Would they still need to be within a certain district, or can they, could they choose it, like if they live in Leland, could they go to, I mean, or is that specific still to the district that they're gonna, where they're physically living?
So it's protecting them if they're choosing to, if they lived in Brunswick County schools and or Brunswick County and now they're being transferred or moved, we would offer them remote learning for a set time. It doesn't specify the time.
Okay. So it's not necessarily them coming into Brunswick County?
It could, so another
either-
option,
either,
yeah,
that's
another
what I'm
option would be, they're being placed here, they're gonna be sent to Brunswick County, but they don't have a home yet, whatever it might be. We go ahead and get them enrolled, we can offer them a remote for a little bit. We could actually, if they're gonna be staying with family, friends, we don't need the proof of residence. We're gonna go ahead and take care of the kid, get them enrolled in school, and then they'll get settled. But those are the two instances that we got out of it. Questions on that one? Thank you.
Good morning, folks.
Good morning. Good morning.
So the changes to this policy, they're actually an expansion of what's open to public records, public inspection as part of the employee files. So in 7, they just talk about identifying all compensation for employees, including their current salary from all sources, their benefits, any supplements, longevity, those types of things. And then they've added in reimbursements and allowances as well to the employee. So that is really the only adjustment to this portion. And then, Tori, could we maybe skip to 7820 that was down there for Natalie? Because this is really the same, again, there's a change to the policy in the same manner for G in this policy. It's the same thing. And then if you go on down to the next portion, this is where the big change comes in, where they've asked us to update what we put on our website. And they're actually asking for all of these items to be added to our website for central office staff. And they want this updated annually. So we have this prepared for the website now, and just need this added to the policy, and it adds all of these items to the list.
Good morning. Under transportation and service vehicle contracts, the only change is adding a driver pursuant to a contract. An individual must submit to a criminal history check as described in policy 7100, which goes through the criminal history check process. And this is just saying that anyone that we contract to drive a bus, a charter bus or something, which we don't do a lot of, but we do have some trips that are contracted out, that driver must also go through a CHC through our process. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Brody?
It's going to sound a little redundant because the change to this policy requires individuals contracted to drive to undergo a criminal history check.
Thank you.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I'll need to take it.
Thank you for expounding on that.
Yeah, who's doing the technology?
Who's doing the technology? Ms. Bayer?
This was just the one that was related to the same change we made in 4311, the wireless communication devices. This was the other one that was the local change that we had. This was just a reorganization of that same section.
Okay.
So it's tied to it, but it was a local change versus it wasn't in the, obviously it wasn't in the special update from the SBA.
Thank you so much.
It's good to see Deborah even passes.
So do we have a motion to approve all of these as one?
Yeah, they were all time sensitive, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Barger.
Second.
Second by Ms. Moffett, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And I think that we need a little break, because I think that's the end of
There's only
curriculum.
one thing on the agenda.
There's one thing, so let's roll.
Where is that? I'm
With the,
sorry.
Right here,
Your
the
next
operations we
agenda.
don't have, so we're gonna go straight to
So you're gonna
finance
call
and
the
HR.
next
I'm
meeting
sorry,
order.
I'm just looking at mine.
Cause it's one thing.
It's one agenda,
It's one more thing.
Okay, then here we go.
So,
Okay, here we
call to
go.
order, the finance and HR, and up is Ms. Weesey.
Good morning again. So, as you can see in the memo that I sent out, we had the mini bill that was passed by, and signed by the governor this month. And in that bill, they approved the step increase for our, assistant principals and teaching staff, basically anyone that's paid on the state salary schedule. They didn't address any of the other staff, any of our classified staff. And we were, in fairness, hoping that you would go ahead and approve us doing the same for our classified staff, putting our steps in place this month for all of our groups. And it's, for our classified staff, it's anywhere between the low end of about 0.75% for administrators, and then up to 1.25% for the rest of our classified staff. And for expedience of this, because we're in the process of writing paychecks now for the end of the month, we were hoping that we could possibly put this on action, so that we, action today, so that we could get this in the August
Motion to
paychecks
approve.
for folks.
Yeah, our classified staff is extremely important, so I totally think our board would support
Yeah,
that. Motion by, I'm sorry, you have,
Well, we're gonna take some discussion, I mean, I have
yes.
a question.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
So we're gonna, which I'm totally in favor of, we're gonna go ahead and implement this on a local decision for our classified staff. But if the state eventually approves the step increase, do they do step increases for the?
They don't
classified?
for the classified, that's a local
So
step for
this has
classified
nothing to do
folks.
with the budget not being passed at this point?
Correct, it does, correct. So the budget was passed, and in the budget it said for this, people on the state salary scale, which is teachers and assistant principals.
Yeah.
They passed it that way for a step, but they did not say anything regarding the local step for folks, so.
Has the legislature ever addressed classified staff?
Only with raises, not with steps.
Okay.
The step is basically
So is
seen
this
as a year of
something we've been doing
experience.
every
Every year when we do, every year we've gotten
Yeah.
raises at the same time, so we've
Yeah.
done everything at the same time. Local step, state step, and salary increases. But because they only address the state step, the only thing left off to equal out would have been the local step.
We just absolutely feel like in the interest of team.
Of course, I just was trying to understand if this was
Yes,
some
sir.
unique circumstance.
It is.
It is
It
a
is.
unique circumstance. But
Then how's it unique? I thought,
Because every year when we come to you and say, will you approve the raises that the state has approved and the step increase, we've approved the step increase and the raises at the same time. This year, we have no raises. The step addressed the step increase for the first time, they've just addressed that instead of raises as well. So we didn't have anything to tie the local piece back to, other than to say, will you approve the local step as well for our classified staff? Does that make
Okay.
sense? There are no raises, so the step is the only thing that's been offered by the state, and that was only for one group. So we're asking locally that you approve the other piece.
So I think the confusion is when you say there are no raises, if the step increase, people would view that as a raise, I guess.
Right, I had someone ask me
Yeah,
about that.
cause I think the language
An
is.
increase.
And I think it might have been it might have been you, Ms. Smith. We were discussing, something and it came across as a raise, and I was like, well, technically, a step increase for experience is not a raise according to the definition of how the state puts it. It's what you're entitled to
Increase.
because you
Your
gained a
experience.
year of experience.
Mhm.
But it could be seen as a raise because you're gonna make more money than you did
It's a
last
raise
year.
of revenue.
Right.
That's
You're in a
right.
different category then.
Right.
Puts you in a different.
But it's technically not a raise.
Right, according to the state.
According to the state.
You've raised a step, but you've not.
Yeah, you've not
gotten
gotten a raise.
Yeah.
So,
So,
back to that, we have a
Yeah.
motion for
Already
Mr.
been
Barger.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gainey, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
no more discussion.
no more. So that, closes our meeting for
Motion to
this.
go closed.
Motion to go to closed
Second.
session, okay.
Second. Or
Motion by Mr. Barger, second by Ms. Cook, all in
Okay,
Well,
we
better
are
only do
gonna
some
call the
work
meeting
today.
back to order. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel from closed session?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barger.
Second.
Second by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that concludes the committee for today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Cook, second by Mr. Barger. All in favor?
Aye.